Just as Gwen and Peter's relationship begins, it is set back by Peter's sudden, unexplained disappearance. Days pass without a word, and a concerned Gwen visits Aunt May with Harry, hoping for any news. But May is just as lost, and she breaks down in tears, causing Gwen to respond that she mustn't upset herself. The somber mood is shattered when a lively MJ shows up joking about the latest Spider-Man news headline, but Gwen has no patience for her banter and sharply explains that the situation is serious. She then calls her father, Captain Stacy, who promises to check the city's accident reports for any sign of Peter. Meanwhile, Peter's encounter as Spider-Man with Dr. Octopus has left him wandering the city with amnesia. Disoriented and desperate for answers, he approaches John Jameson and Captain Stacy, seeking help to piece together who he is. At that moment, Gwen barges in, and upon seeing Spider-Man, she suspects he must have something to do with Peter's disappearance. Breaking out in tears, she tries to hit him as she asks what he's done to Peter, demanding that he tell her where he is. Captain Stacy moves to intercept her, warning her not to antagonize the hero. However, Gwen argues that if Spider-Man truly has amnesia, he might do anything, implying he is a danger. As Captain Stacy pulls his daughter into a comforting embrace, a confused and hurt Peter swings away into the city. Then, buried in her father's arms, Gwen is left to wonder if Spider-Man has hurt Peter. Later, Gwen's worry only grows as Peter's disappearance stretches on, and while trying to check in on Aunt May, she fears the worst, telling Harry that Peter is never away this long for photo assignments, especially not with Aunt May so ill. Eventually, Peter gets his memories restored and returns, visiting his Aunt May. When filing a police report, he meets Gwen's father and goes to talk with him at his home. When Gwen arrives, she is relieved to see Peter and hugs him, saying she missed him. She then asks her father if his conversation with Peter can wait, as she hasn't seen Peter in a long time and wants to go to the coffee bean with him. Soon, they meet Harry there, and Gwen declares that Peter's return calls for a celebration. When Peter asks where MJ is, Harry reveals she got a job as a dancer at a local club and suggests they go see her act. The next day, Peter and Gwen go to see MJ dance, and when Peter looks at Gwen commenting that the blonde next to him looks gorgeous, she jokes that she'll start a riot if there is another blonde around. Just then, they see Gwen's father join the audience, just as MJ takes the spotlight on the stage. However, the night takes a dark turn when Captain Stacy gets brainwashed, and while Gwen notices he is acting strangely, he wanders off, only to go missing. Soon, Peter sets off to look for him, only to find himself entangled with the Kingpin. While Peter is away, Gwen's anxiety spirals as both her father and Peter are missing. Suddenly, Mary Jane arrives with a warning, telling Gwen that a violent fight just broke out backstage involving Spider-Man. Soon, Captain Stacy finally returns, and Gwen throws her arms around him in relief, though she remains shaken, certain that something dangerous is unfolding involving Spider-Man's presence and Peter's absence. Then, on the car ride home, she continues to worry, voicing that she thinks they should have waited for Peter to return before leaving. Shortly after the battle, Peter also returns home, his mind consumed by worry for Gwen's father. As he agonizes over how to help the man, he has a sudden quiet epiphany. It is the first time he has truly admitted to himself that he loves Gwen Stacy. He then decides to go to the Stacy home to confront Gwen's father directly. When he arrives, Gwen questions where he's been, but Peter says it's a long story, and he is there to speak to her father. Gwen jokes that it's not very flattering to her if that's all Peter is there for. But as she leaves the room to make coffee, the brainwashed Captain Stacy lunges at Peter. Forced to defend himself, Peter parries the attack, causing the captain to fall just as Gwen walks back into the room. To Peter's horror, her father claims that Peter attacked him. Consumed by shock and protective rage, Gwen blames Peter for striking her father, but Peter has no way to explain what happened to her. She then screams at him, "How could I ever have thought that I cared for you? Get out, and never come back. I never want to see you again. Ever." Heartbroken, Peter flees, certain that he has lost Gwen forever. Back inside, Gwen ensures her father is okay and realizes that while she couldn't bring herself to call the police over what happened, she's certain that she'll never forgive Peter. Soon, Peter is desperate to expose the Kingpin's influence and clear the captain's name, so he turns his photos over to the Daily Bugle. But his plan backfires in the most personal way possible. Gwen sees the front page the next morning, featuring a story about her father committing a crime, with the photos credited to Peter Parker. Suddenly, Captain Stacy appears, and when Gwen confronts him about the story, he admits to it and insists that it had to be done. Unable to believe that her father would have committed crimes of his own free will, Gwen suspects that he must be ill and that he isn't fully aware of what he is doing. She then promises her father that she'll take care of him until he can remember what happened, assuring him that she will be with him no matter what. Later, Captain Stacy leads Gwen with him to the airport, still brainwashed, and there, they meet a pair of crooks who take them back to the Kingpin. As the Stacys are bound and gagged, Spider-Man crashes in through the window just in time to save the day. During the battle, he saves the Stacys from death, and with the brainwashing machine destroyed, Gwen's father returns to normal. While Gwen wishes she could thank Spider-Man for saving them, Peter leaves sulking that Gwen now thinks Spider-Man is a hero, but wants nothing to do with Peter Parker. Eventually, Peter tries to visit Gwen to explain his side of the story, but Gwen can't believe he had the nerve to show up. When he says she has to listen to him, she snaps that she doesn't have to do anything. She further explains that when she needed a friend, he betrayed her and her father, and as he struggles to come up with an explanation, she slams the door in his face. Inside, Gwen tells her father she sent Peter away, but he doesn't understand why she would do that because of the way she feels about him. But Gwen knows that her father was brainwashed, so he doesn't remember what happened, and she breaks down in tears as she doesn't have the heart to tell her father what she believes she saw Peter do. As time passes, Peter can't sleep as he can't stop thinking about the messed up situation with Gwen. The next day at YesU, Harry tries to call out to him, but Gwen sharply shuts Harry down, telling him not to bother because she prefers not to see Peter. A confused Harry mentions that everyone thought she and Peter were an item, but Gwen coldly replies that they all figured wrong. As the day drags on, Peter suffers under the weight of her silence, as Gwen acts as if he no longer exists. He realizes he has to forget her, as she has forgotten him, yet he doesn't understand how Gwen could put him out of her mind and heart so easily. But as Gwen refuses to even look at Peter, she secretly wishes he had some explanation she could believe, as she begins to feel depressed no longer being with him. That evening, Peter tries calling Gwen for one last chance, but her father answers, mentioning she is out for the night, on a date, he supposes. Some time later, once Captain Stacy has fully recovered, he meets Gwen outside. He reveals that his memory has been completely restored and confirms the truth. Peter did not attack him the other day. Gwen is flooded with relief, realizing that Peter never truly betrayed them. As they walk together, their attention is suddenly drawn to the top of the bugle where Spider-Man is locked in a fierce battle with the Vulture. Amidst the chaos, Gwen overhears that Peter went up there to cover the story, and she begins to worry for his safety. During the battle, Spider-Man falls to the ground, and Gwen's father quickly moves to have the area cleared to protect the hero's identity. Meanwhile, Gwen rushes off to search for Peter, worried that he may have been hurt by the Vulture or Spider-Man. When she fails to find him, she returns to her father in tears, unable to bear the thought of something happening to Peter before they had a chance to make up. After the fight, Spider-Man is taken to the prison infirmary, but the situation turns dire when the prisoners stage a breakout and take over the facility. Gwen calls her father to ask if he can come home for dinner, unaware that at that very moment, he is being taken captive by the rioting inmates. Fortunately, Peter soon wakes and manages to save her father from the chaos. Later, burdened by a lack of money, Peter is forced to sell his motorcycle. It is then that Gwen finds him and finally makes up with him, explaining that her father told her the truth about what really happened. They embrace happily, with Peter feeling as though he can get through anything now, with Gwen in his arms. Soon, the two head to the Coffee Bean, where they flirt at their table, enjoying the shared moment together. Some time later, while Peter is away battling Mysterio, another call comes in for Captain Stacy. Though disappointed it isn't Peter, Gwen jokes that it's a fine thing for her father to constantly get more calls than she does, but she's learned to live with it anyway.